So fifth grade, we don't need our sketchbooks today unless you want to do a drawing in there to kind of a practice drawing. But today I'm handing out in class the file that you should be able to print off. It has some different types of thank yous on the front. You guys will probably have 2 pages. These guys are getting front and back, depending on what they want to do. They're also going to get a piece of construction paper, white. You could use printer paper, you could use just about any kind of paper you want. And so I'm going to take my paper and we're going to fold it. So try to line up those corners the best you can and get that fold in there. All right. I always try to fold from the center and then fold out. It keeps my lines a little cleaner. Okay? And so from here, you can decide whether you want this picture to go portrait style or if you want to go landscape style, depending, I guess, on what you select here. Now, these are for if you want to use these. You don't have to necessarily use some of these on your card. And right now, we're just kind of designing the cover. You can Google image thank you, and there's all kinds of cool images, especially with some designs around them. So this kind of inspired me to make a thank you card. There's some with some symbols in it. Some of them are just some nice shapes and designs, which is what we are going to try to incorporate into our picture as well. Now, let's say you want to use one of these. Could be this side, could be this side, depending on what you want. It's a good idea to decide which direction you want to go by whether it's going to fit or not. Now, there's a couple options, and I think I'll go this way because this will be a little bit harder to do than if I wanted to go landscape style. So I'll stick with it going portrait style. And what we're going to do is we're going to select a text that we think is going to work well for our card. Now, it could be thanks, it could be thank you, depending on what you want. And I'll show you those options in a minute. Let me make my selection here. I think I'm going to go with this one right here, okay? And I know it's not going to necessarily fit lengthwise, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So, good news, bad news with it being two-sided. For you guys at home, if you've printed out in separate pages, you're doing fine. The kids at school, they're going to end up messing up one of the thanks on the back here. So what we want to do is we're going to take this and we're going to just apply some pencil to the back. And I'm kind of holding it up because I can see that the word is in this area here that I've circled. Now all I'm doing is just going in and filling this in with some pencil. This is going to help hopefully transfer my wording onto my card. This way I don't have to freehand it. All right. So I'm looking up just to make sure I've covered the word on the other side. Okay. And sometimes this baffles students. Really, this pencil is just acting like a Xerox machine, a little copy machine. And so that way, when I take my wording and place it down, I will be able to trace those letters onto there, and I'll have something to go off of them. Now, like I said before, you can get kind of creative with this. I know that this wording is not going to fit across here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in 2 different sections. So I'm kind of holding it down and trying to keep it fairly straight. And then, like I said before, you're going to trace over your lettering. And you got to be careful how you check it. You don't want to necessarily just pick it up because you won't be able to line up the letters again. But I'm going to hold it down steady just to see if my letters, hopefully that's showing up on the camera, my letters are starting to show up. They're going to be light and they're going to be kind of rough. But it gives me a direction to go, and it helps me maybe figure out that if I keep my style the same, then I can be kind of consistent in my lettering. So like I said before, this version here is not going to fit onto my card, but the nice part about what I'm doing is that I can move the second word. All right, so I look, all right, And now I can move you, and I'll put it off a little bit off to the right here, and I can do the same thing. Now, I'm just tracing the one selection that I have here. You don't have to do that. If you wanted to load up the front with a bunch of different style thank yous, if you wanted to use different letters, so maybe I wanted to use a T from this one, and an O from this one, and a U from this one, and an A from this one, you could mix and match those on here, and you could easily create those in different fonts from the different examples that we have on our paper. Now it gets a little tricky if it's front and back, because you may end up scribbling over some of those, but I can even see some of these letters. So I guess if I really wanted this A and I scribbled on this side, then I could just trace over that A. We're just transferring the pencil from one side to the next. So I've got my thank you on here, and I'm going to go over it. I probably should use a ruler and maybe a little sharper pencil. We'll see what I have available here to me. But really, I just want to make sure that I can see it. And a lot of times, my tracing is dark enough, I might just go in and start to get some of the areas that were a little lighter, just so I don't lose them. Or I can go and clean up the edges, because it is going to be kind of a rough tracing. And I can see that this is a little lighter here. Now, once I get this done, I'm still working with the pencil, and I'm starting to think about the designs that I want to add into here. Like I said, we're really just kind of working on the cover of the card. And if you wanted to add to this, like I said, you can pick and choose letters. I could put thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all over the front of this card. I could even put a person's name on here. Now, granted, we don't have the text for their name, but if I used a ruler, I could put that in there, or I could save some of that details for the inside of my card. All right. So really now what I'm going to do is just work on some designs, and I'm going to use some of the things I have available to me. I know the kids in class sometimes think it's kind of funny, but they could trace a glue stick or their scissors, something to give them some shapes. So they've been looking and working pretty hard at trying to adapt to whatever their surroundings are. You guys at home, you may have some more things. You could get a can of soup if you wanted a big circle in there, or a tape roll. So I'm going to work on my designs for this one, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the coloring part. Okay, so I kind of went nutso on my drawing here, but I've got my thank you in there. And right now, it does kind of look like a jumbled mess. I've got some nice designs in there. Your coloring process is what's going to make this thing stand out. All right. So I went kind of overboard with the patterns and designs in there. I'm filling up this space. I'll probably leave the bottom of the card alone, and maybe have some little pieces kind of trickle down in there. But I am going to start the coloring process. So whatever you have, marker, colored pencil, crayon, highlighter, that's what I would start to use to color them in. Now, marker, you got to be careful because if you have the card closed, you don't want the marker to go into the inside, so either put something in there or open up the card so that you can color, but then you still need to have something underneath so that the table. I'm just going to use my thank you sheet as a cover sheet just to protect my table. So I'm going to start the coloring part. All right, so I just wanted to show a couple things as I have gone along here. You got to be careful with when you're laying down the colors, depending on what you want your patterns to be and what's going on. So we'll start with some of the things I did. I did my orange all the way through the whole circle, and then I went over with a darker color to get the spiral effect going on. So you can do that with marker, colored pencil, but you'll notice I didn't just do individually orange, then green, then orange, then green. I did all my orange first and got that in there, and then I was able to fill in with the green so that I could get that spiral. I did that with this one as well. It was checkerboard, so a lot of times students will do these really nice designs and then they'll just color over it with one color. Well, you've put a design in there, you really want it to show. And so by adding a couple colors, that's how you'll get that design to show up, not just scribbling over the top of it. So for my checkerboard, I went in with the light blue with the colored pencil, and then I actually had a gray marker that I went in and started to fill in those lines. So you don't have to do each little individual square twice if you think ahead of what you're doing. Now, here's one of my mistakes that I have to try to fix later once this marker dries up a little bit. I went in with marker over my polka dots with the yellow, and you guys know if we use yellow second, it's going to get smeary, but with the pencil that I had on there was so thick that it started to smear my yellow as I started going over it. And so then I did my blue polka dots. I may have to go in with a different color over the top of my yellow, maybe an orange to mix in with it, just so it doesn't have those smears in there. I also started my thank you with the red marker, and I started doing the black colored pencil, which I think I do want an outline in it. I just don't think I want black colored pencil now. And these are things that will happen as you are going. You'll start to discover that, oh, I think I want this to happen, or I want this to happen. So I think I'm going to go in with a black marker to outline it, but if you're going to outline stuff in black marker, that should be the last thing. Doing it in colored pencil is not bad because it's not going to go into other markers and things like that. But I don't think I like the way that the colored pencil looks, so I'm going to do black marker for that. So you guys got the ideas. Go ahead and start working on yours if you haven't already, and enjoy, and I will see you guys next time. Guys, as you finish up, you guys at home, send me some pictures of what you have completed for your thank you card. Be careful, right here, see? My marker's going through, so if you were gonna put something on this side, be careful with how you apply the markers. You know, not all of them will go through, but the longer you hold it down in one area, it will start to go through on the paper. And we don't want that on a table or anywhere else. So just make sure you've got something in between or underneath. And then it looks like I'm going to be doing my writing on the inside for who I'm going to give this thank you card to. People appreciate these. I always appreciate a good thank you, especially in class when I'm handing out stuff and students give me a thank you for the paper or whatever I'm giving them. It just makes me feel good that they appreciate the things in their life. So same thing with a good thank you card. People love to get them. You know, make a few, hand them out. They're nice to receive, and write something nice about why you appreciate the person you're giving it to in there. Okay, guys, I will see you next time. Be safe. And if I don't see you for Thanksgiving, enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. All right?